Welcome, ladies. We're so happy to have you on board. I'm so excited about the guest that I have featured for you today on the Fierce Fearless Now video series. And when I first had the idea of doing this video series, it's one of those things that you get the idea and it comes up to you. And I was like, well, I definitely, initially it was just for moms. And I'm like, I definitely want to talk about body confidence because I know even for myself, after having my daughter, I was just like didn't feel like myself. And I see it all the time with some of the moms I work with and just people I know in general that they just like are so ashamed, whether they have stretch marks or they gain a little too much weight and haven't lost it. So I wanted somebody specializing in body confidence to just talk to my audience. And now that my audience is more than just moms, it's just women in general who are feeling like they're having these issues. And with the weather warming up, summer is coming, I definitely want to make sure that you are feeling confident no matter what size you are, no matter, if you just had a baby or you don't have a baby or whatever, but to just really own your shape, your body, and confidently wear whatever you want without judging yourself. So I have the pleasure of introducing to you an amazing coach. Her name is Michelle Elman, and she is a body confidence coach, a writer, a speaker, and a soon-to-be author. And she has this amazing story. So when I first spoke to her, I was just like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? So I'm not even going to talk anymore. I will let her introduce herself and tell you her story. And welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. That was such a sweet introduction.
Absolutely. Happy you're here. So yeah, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your story?
Okay, so I'm a body confidence coach, and that started for me because I've always been quite passionate about body confidence. But that started for me because I'm 21 now, but I think my last operation was when I was 19. And so over those 19 years, I had 15 surgeries, a brain tumor, a punctured intestine, an obstructed bowel, a cyst in my brain, a condition called hydrocephalus. Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, so all of that was quite hard to deal with. There were a lot of psychological trauma, I guess you would call it. I'm not sure. I didn't like to use the word trauma when I was growing up, but the issues which I had, all of that was hard, but then the part no one talks about is the scars. So before I went into the brain tumor operation, I wasn't exactly sure what a brain tumor was or anything like that, but I came out with half a shaved head, and no one told me that. So half a shaved head, and at 11 years old, you're like, what the fuck have you done with my hair? I'm sorry, I hope you don't mind me swearing.
No, it's okay, we keep it real over here, yes.
It's definitely one of those moments where you kind of do swear. Even at 11 years old, I was like, are you kidding me? You don't even warn me? And yeah, just the scars. I have scars. You can't really see them right now, but I have scars on my stomach, on my head, on my ankles, on things like that. And when you're walking down the beach, like, people stare. And I remember when I was 11, and I didn't even have that many scars when I was 11. It was a lot later on that they got a lot worse, but people just stared a lot, and I was like, no one's talking about this, no one's telling me what to do about it, because no one knew what to say. And everyone gets really awkward about it, and I just want to be that voice to talk about it, because I'm like, well, if you're not talking about it, you feel more alone, and everyone's feeling so lonely in this, but there are so many people in the world with scars. It's quite normal. Like, you live in your body for so long, there are going to be some scars. And I mean, the big thing for me was when I took my top off for the first time in front of my boyfriend, and I was about like 19, and I always felt like I had to warn boys about scars. But again, like, no one's talking about it. You Google. I used to Google this, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I used to Google, like, how do you tell your boyfriend about scars? And nothing comes up. So I was like, that something needs to be coming up on Google. Like, Google is like, the whole world has access to Google. Well, not the whole world, but a lot of people have access to Google, and there's no one out there giving these answers. So that's why I'm passionate about it, and why I was like, I need to be a body confidence coach.
I absolutely love that. And sometimes, it's whatever, a lot of people are looking to figure out their passions. It's like, what is the thing that lights you up? What is the thing that you uniquely feel that you can make a difference in? So how amazing that at 21 years old, you've discovered that and you are sharing that with the world. So that's
thank you.
One thing that you brought up that I wanted to go back on, and I love this, during our the first time I spoke to you, is the brain tumor surgery and your age. So what I see often, and I was like, I think maybe because I connected with that one because I remember specifically being 11 and having a lot of changes happening and no one around me really acknowledging that you're a child, right? And of course, like what do you mean? Like you have a shaved head, like that's what happened. But to you, it's a big deal. Like to them, it's like, okay, you have the tumor out, but to you, there's so much more to that. So what I wanted to really kind of say to the audience, especially those of us that are parents, if you have kids, and it's a perfect example as like, the little things to them are big things. So you may not see it that way, but it's also always looking at it from their perspective. What's going on in that 11-year-old child's mind that, hey, oh my God.
And I remember before in terms of my parents, especially before the brain tumor operation, I said, I'm not doing it. And they were like, why? And I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm not having any more operations. Like, I've had 3 in the space of 2 months. I'm not having any more.
Yeah.
And they were like, I was like, you said the last one was the last one, and it wasn't. You said the one before that was the last one, and it wasn't. But they wanted to keep being like, it's the last one, don't worry about it. And my parents were trying their best. But obviously, to me, I'm at 11, you're old enough to understand what's going on, sort of, but not completely. And so I was like, I know you're all lying to me. I know this isn't going to be the last one, because I knew there was going to be one more, and there'd always been one more plan, and this wasn't the planned one. So I was like, so for my parents, I think the best thing as a parent is to be open and honest about it, because also I actually wasn't told it was a brain tumor until after the brain tumor, after the operation. So I got told, oh, you're having another operation, but that was it. And that's why when I woke up, I was like, why is this so much bigger than all the last ones? Why is this it was a big foam thing around my head, and I couldn't move. And I was like, why is this one? Because normally I'm fine after the operation. But it's because they were like, oh, this one was a bit more severe. This one basically had a brain tumor. And I was like, you're not going to tell me these things before. They were like, we didn't want to scare you. You want to
kind of age.
Yeah. And they were like, we didn't want to scare you. You already just said you didn't want it. So we thought if we told you it was a brain tumor operation, you would have freaked out even more. And I was like, I think I'm allowed to freak out. I think if you told an adult this, they would freak out too. But yeah, so I think it's important for parents to be open, honest. And to me, the biggest deal was shaving my head. But to my parents, it was obviously the brain tumor. And it's just understanding that even though logically and rationally, yes, the brain tumor is more important than not looking good. To me, at that age, looking good was still important. So you want
to look like everybody else. You want to be normal, whatever that is. But at 11 years old, you want to be
because I think hair is also how women express themselves, and also, if someone was bald walking down the street, you would stare. So it would be me not being normal. And that's what I saw it as, that suddenly I had a half-shaved head and I was like, oh, I'm not normal anymore. And so it's a lot bigger than just the hair.
Yeah, wow. No, thank you for saying that. No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I wanted now tell us a little bit about what you do as what's a body confidence coach? What type of issues come up with your clients? What do you tackle? What do you do for work?
So I guess the biggest issue I tackle is there are 2 main issues. Usually it's a certain body part. So I get legs a lot. Oh, I don't want to wear skirts. I don't want to wear shorts. All other thing is sex. So I don't want to do doggy because my stomach's hanging out, or they want to have sex with the light off, or they're like, yeah, but only when I'm under the sheets can you come in. So that's another thing I deal with. But it's also, in terms of the woman, it's the internal voice. So women tend to beat themselves up more than anyone else can anyway. And so that's why when, like, I don't know if in what my last blog post, I say this doctor called me fat, and I was like, you don't think I know that? You don't think I've been calling myself that for years and years and years? Like, I've been beating myself up way longer than you could be. Like, so you're not telling me anything new. And it's dealing with how you see yourself, because once you get rid of that like, not getting rid of the voice, because there's always going to be internal voice, but learning how to manage the negative thoughts, those comments don't really affect you any longer, because you're like, your opinion. Okay, I'm done. Like, you can think that, but it's giving them techniques to quieten the voice or change it or give themselves the power to control it again. And that's another thing, is huge thing, is limiting beliefs. Women are always like, I can't do that. I can't, like, oh, but what if this and what if that? And it's funny because these beliefs are embedded at such a young age, and they're normally before the age of 7, they get these limiting beliefs. And one of mine was that I couldn't write to save my life. Like, I thought I was bad at English. And now I'm a writer and an author. And I'm not even joking. It took me until 3 years ago that I finally went, wait, where's this belief coming from? And you don't question where your belief's coming from, because you believe they're fact. And you're like, but it's not a belief, it's the truth. Like, absolutely. And then they're like, oh, but I have real reasons to believe that. And I'm like, your reasons aren't true either. The reasons are like,
I love that you say that. And one of the things that I work with a lot with my clients is limiting beliefs, or just like, I call it the stories that they're telling themselves, whether these stories like were passed down for generations, whether like they were just things that somehow you see the world and you end up believing certain things. There's definitely things that are false evidence, and
exactly,
nobody's proven that.
You call it the story, I call it the bullshit. I'm like, the bullshit you keep telling yourself, because come on, you even know it's kind of bullshit.
You know it's bullshit. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So now, with summer coming up, I mentioned that, and a lot of people, like, there's more skin out, there's stuff going on. What is it that you could share with our viewers regarding kind of like feeling more confident and empowered in their body if they're not right now?
So I think let's say a woman is finding their most difficult thing, their most scary thing to them is going on the beach in a bikini without a cover up.
Yes.
Let's say, for example. So if they took off their bikini, they would be terrified. And it's very easy for me to go say, oh, you just go out there, you do it, you feel the fear and do it. And I'm not that kind of person. But when you feel something, you either feel it here or like on your heart. Oh, the camera doesn't actually show all of it. But you either feel it in your heart or in your stomach. So you feel all the emotions there. Mm-hmm. So if you hold your heart while like doing something which is scaring you, and breathe in and out 4 times, and this sounds so woo-woo and like floofy, but I'm not joking, it works. But if you hold your heart, breathe in 4 times while doing it, and then go into it and go, okay, I know this is scary, but this is exciting because I've never done this before. And even if and this is the important part, because even if you take off the coverall or the like sarong for 2 minutes, that's 2 minutes than you would have normally done. So you just need to do it in a way that's going to make you feel comfortable. If you are so uncomfortable on the beach and you start crying, obviously that's going to scar you for life. You're never going to want to do it again. But just do it for 1 minute. Just 1 minute a day. Like, go out of the house on the way to the supermarket, go in shorts instead of jeans. When you come back home with your groceries, you can change back into jeans. But just that short trip to the supermarket in shorts, just do the small things which are going to give you the power to do the bigger things. And I love
that. Just break it down into little chunks and just take baby steps, but do it anyways and just go for it. Absolutely.
And I think the problem is they'll go, oh, but what difference does that make? Because I'm just going to the supermarket, like it's a 2 minute walk and then it's 2 minutes back. It doesn't matter. It's 2 minutes and you're seeing people on the street the same way you would be like before, and you're dealing with all the But that's when I make my clients do this, I'm like, be very aware of the voice that's going in your head when on that 2-minute walk, because you're going to start saying limiting beliefs and horrible things to yourself. So I am fat, but everything you say to yourself is also a belief. So if you go like, oh my God, that person's staring. Why do you think that person is staring? You have to start questioning it. So when they get back from this 2-minute shopping trip, I tend to be like, get a diary and write down everything you've said to yourself in your head. And we're going to work on that and knock some of those legs out. So like one woman I was working with, she did this. And then she came back and she was like, oh, I went with my boyfriend and he was like, oh, those are the new pair of shorts. And I was like, oh, great. He's already noticed my legs. And this is why I don't show my legs. And I was like, did he actually say anything about his legs? She was like, well, no, but I knew he was thinking that. I was like, how exactly did you know he was thinking that?
Well, because it's a lot of reads minds, clearly. Yeah,
it's a lot of mind reads. And I'm like, where is your evidence? Give me factual evidence that he actually thought that. Because all these beliefs are not based on anything.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm going to start wrapping up here. And I wanted to ask you if there's anything in particular you wanted to share with the audience, where they can find you, anything like that.
Where they can find me, my website, mindsetforlife.co.uk. I've got a free ebook, which is the 3 secrets to feel hot and sexy in one day. And you can get that. I think the link should be somewhere.
Yes, I will post. I'll be posting the link both at during the video and also in the Facebook group. So ladies, get the link and you'll be able to get Michelle's ebook, 3 Steps to Feeling Hot and Sexy in a Day.
Yeah, and yeah, you can join my Facebook group. It's called Mindset Friends for Life. So
I love it, and I'm actually a part of the group. And Michelle shares valuable information, and she's hilarious. She's freaking hilarious.
I share all my embarrassing stories. So
yes, all the things that we all did, and somebody actually being honest about it. So I absolutely love that about you. All right, darling. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy we were able to do this interview and to share you, because I freaking love you. So to be able to share you with my audience and have them really get the confidence they need and the courage to step forward fearlessly and be fierce in their body, no matter what it looks like.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And lots of love to everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.